round. They'll take some questions, maybe up to about the 12-minute point. Guys, have at it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our paper was on commercial enablers of China's cyber intelligence and information operations. My name is Ethan.
And my name is Victor Mukora. And let's get started with what's the problem. So notably, the commander of US Cybercom noted that China is a challenge unlike anything we have ever faced. And part of this is because the PRC, probably you've noticed this already, has posed a very strong threat to the security welfare of the United States. A large majority of this threat comes from the PRC Grand Strategy. The PRC Grand Strategy, at its crux, basically outlines their foreign policy objectives and the actions that they feel are necessary to achieve them. And so because of that, that Grand Strategy, in a way, can be thought of what is driving a lot of their operations. As a result, what we ended up finding out in our research was that the PRC uses a spectrum of commercial enablers that position and also launch information and cyber intelligence operations to hold US persons, technology, and information capabilities at risk. So with that.
The first part of our paper, we kind of talk about what is a commercial enabler. Our first category would be direct commercial enablers. These are usually companies that either are having massive influence by either their policies or PRC members that are on the board, or CCP members that are on their board, influencing the day-to-day operations and the basic policies that these companies will do. Basic examples would be ByteDance, Huawei, and Dahua. These then direct commercial enablers are going to start to influence our subsidiary enablers. Our subsidiary enablers are seen as either wholly or majority owned by these direct commercial enablers. Usually they're being influenced in this case then because of their ownership. They're having to either give up data, or there might be policies or information that's being given to the Chinese government or the PRC. Some examples would be Motorola, TikTok, obviously, as we've seen with those recent Congress and everything, and how we've reacted to their abilities, also their internal things with basic policies that relate directly back to Chinese policy, and Timu. And our last one is at-risk enablers. At-risk enablers can be affected by all three of the enablers and the PRC above. As you can see, PRC hiring people to hack companies or organizations that the United States is involved with. You have direct commercial enablers producing, or subsidiary enablers producing hardware or software that is being used in these at-risk enablers that enables these organizations to be at risk. Some examples would be CDM, which was an organization in 2014 which the U.S. was hacked, and this actually leaked a lot of U.S. personnel files. And then the most recent example, actually, the new U.S. critical infrastructure organizations that were all hacked by Volt Typhoon, and Volt Typhoon was embedded for months just sitting there. CISA came out recently and was like, this is a massive issue, but they were just inside all these organizations just sitting and having capability to do what they needed to do.
So with that, now that we've identified the commercial enablers, the question arises, well, how do these operations work? What are the key terrains? What are the methods? And so things that we found out is that the PRC with these commercial enablers often works through a couple categories. We had social media companies. TikTok was probably the one that you would expect. And so a lot of this kind of contributes to information manipulation, disinformation, manipulating narratives. There's an aspect of data harvesting and centers. And then I think the most interesting one is the PRC Human Information Programs. So there is what is called the 1,000 Talents Program, which is the PRC's initiative to recruit foreign talent in areas that they feel like they are lacking in. So you can imagine some of the core areas might be telecommunications or advancements in science and technology that might accelerate military development. So items like that, they would actually recruit people in academia, people in industry through the 1,000 Talents Program. And then you also have the Military Civil Fusion Program, which targets third parties and government adjacent organizations. So all this to say, these are kind of a lot of the methods and the terrains that they utilize. TikTok particularly, there's a lot of disinformation spread. Well, not a lot, but there was disinformation spread on TikTok, and a lot of narratives regarding America's rather poor handling of the pandemic that was emphasized to kind of create a narrative that would at least favor, anti-American government, propaganda. So with that, let's go to the next part.
One of the last parts we have is kind of the basic overall conduits, I would say, is the best way to describe them, of both the PRC tech giants, so not just Huawei, but also their entire entities on that, and also along with that, the telecommunications network that China holds. And so some of the key parts is that bigger orange dot with the yellow around it. Those are all smart city programs. Those means that these programs have, in these cities, locally, have accepted Chinese software and Chinese cameras to pretty much enforce a basic information gathering on their either traffic cams, or they're going to talk about social credit, things like that. And these are the type of the exact same things we're seeing within China now that are being externally by these same companies, and it's scattered across, and you can see a lot of it both in Southeast Asia and Southern Africa. Another part of that is also their LTE services that you can see now spreading all the way across into the Pacific Island countries, as well as Southeast Asia and South Africa. One of the biggest things that's being talked about a lot more is now their reach into South America. As you can see, it's starting to pop up more. And Brazil even has a 5G network starting to be implemented by Huawei. And the biggest threat with all of these, especially cellular networks, is that once they're set up, it's very hard to get rid of. And once they're there, even if another company is using it, it is still Chinese property and Chinese information hubs that are being utilized to pass information through other servers. And this is ultimately going to cause some type of threat later on down the line, especially with their ability to access all this information.
So concluding, we don't just want to give what's going on, right? We want to give what do we do now. So some recommendations that we had for countering these are, of course, not everything that you could do, but this is some of what we found, is that a lot of the way that we can minimize the influence of PRC commercial enablers is kind of dealing them category by category, and we have that outlined in our paper. But being able to understand, for example, at-risk or companies that do not have a comprehensive security plan, working with those companies to give them an awareness of what the PRC is doing. I mean, really, as great as it is to mitigate TikTok or ban it, I think the most effective source to curb this is just information on the threat. A lot of companies are not even aware of what the PRC is doing, and therefore they're not even prepared to handle any insider threats or anything of that nature. And so giving companies in general the information that they need and the resources to be able to handle insider threats, be aware of where PRC might interfere with their company, especially if they're working in areas that the PRC feels like are critical to their technologies, is very pivotal. Overall, just kind of having a proactive assessment, I think, is what's going to really lead that initiative forward. That's all we have to say. Thanks.
Any questions for Victor?
Yeah, I have a question. What was the primary incentive that they were using to get their beautiful folks you guys on?
For which type of folks?
Anyone that pops in your head right away?
Yeah, so I think with the 1,000 Talents program, I'll have to, don't quote me on this exactly, this is just what I feel like I had remembered, but I think a lot of the times when they reach out to people for the 1,000 Talents program, it can either be financial, so the amount of money offered, and it can also be prestigious a little bit, well, wow, you're this world-renowned professor and you're being recruited by this government because they feel like you have this expertise that they need. And so I think it's the prestige, I think it's the money, and then in some cases it can also be a little bit of, although this may not relate to the 1,000 Talents program, a lot of times when the PRC is able to extract information is through blackmailing with family members that might be in the PRC that they're using as almost like a ransom. You need to do this, otherwise this is what we're going to do to this to those folks. So, yeah. But yeah, don't quote me on that exactly. I think that's just my current understanding.
Yeah, I'm sure they're using more, especially with infrastructure.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Joseph.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. This goes on your back.